All right, welcome to our latest Swampcast. We're here on the floor of Sun Life Stadium where Florida just lost to Miami. Will probably be the last game between these two in a long time, unless they get matched up in a bowl game or something, Robbie. But that's going to make it that much harder for Florida fans. They're going to have a terrible taste in their mouth for a while.
Yeah, frustrating for them, frustrating for this team too, that played well in a lot of ways, but you turn the ball over that many times.
Yep.
2 interceptions in the red zone. They just kept shooting themselves in the foot. You kept thinking, well, somewhere late in the game they're going to pull off a drive finally, but by the time they did, it was way too late and the game was over.
The play of the game really was Hargrave stepping out of bounds on his interception return because he was going to run it back all the way. That's probably the one way they were going to win the game.
It could have been the game winner, really.
Yeah, it really could have been. It could have. And I was telling Robbie in the press box that would have gone down as one of the great plays in Gator history.
Yeah.
But just stepped out of bounds, and unfortunately for Florida, they couldn't do anything with it. And again, this is a team that it's hard to explain how good and how bad they played today.
Yeah.
I mean, they dominated Miami on the line of scrimmage. They played really well defensively after the opening couple of series, and yet those 5 turnovers that was the whole game.
Yeah, but Pat, everybody's going to blame Driscoll in the offense and talk about how dominant the defense was. But Muschamp pointed out something very good. The defense was so bad early in the game, it gave Miami momentum early that they couldn't afford to give them. They gave them hope, is what he said, and they rode it. And despite dominating the rest of the game, that early momentum was huge, and Florida never really reversed it for them.
And put them in a hole where they couldn't. I mean, Florida's really good when they're playing from ahead.
Yeah.
And we've seen that last year. But, you know, I thought at halftime they'd come out in the second half, and they certainly did. 3 and out again.
3 and out.
Drive down. But they just in the red zone, they were just a bad football team today. Yeah. And that was the story of the game. It was Jekyll and Hyde for the Gators.
Questionable calls too, Pat. You know, the 4th down play right at the middle, the go for 2, I don't know. They said they do it again. Will did.
I wouldn't ever do it, ever, on the first touchdown of the game, ever. And I also, you know, the go for the 4th and 1, the thing that bothered me about it is, and again, I'm up in the press box, but you can see that Miami clearly is going to stuff this play. I mean, they've got everybody in the middle. They're not going to let you run a quarterback sneak because you've gone empty here. Yeah. And check out, total timeout, get out of that.
Yeah, that play wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work. He barely got to the lines.
There's a lot of blame to go around for this loss, and it's going to be a tough one to take because you know Florida's not going to play again until Tennessee, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back. I mean, the SEC East, the SEC, even national championships, all still there. It's just going to make it that much harder.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing is you see the offense sort of coming around in certain areas. They're getting the ball down the field, but then they, you know, make a mistake that ends the drive and gives the other team momentum. So things are coming together a little bit, but just not quick enough.
Yeah, and I know Driscoll's going to get beat up a lot, and
he is going to get beat up.
And look, there are things he needs to get beat up about, and I think his coach is beating him up too. But in the end, it was a team loss.
Yeah.
So you have to remember that. So we'll see what happens. We won't be back with you next week because, of course, there's no game. But we'll be back with you to preview the Florida-Tennessee game in the Swamp in a couple of weeks. Until then, Pat Dooley, Robbie Andrew of the Gainesville Sun. So long from Miami.